avocado toast, lattes, eating out too much, streaming subscriptions. If you've spent any time reading financial advice aimed at millennials, you know the narrative. You're broke because you spend too much on small things. It's wrong. And the numbers prove it. This isn't a video about telling you that budgeting doesn't matter. It does. But before we talk about what you can control, we need to name what you can't, because the math on millennial finances is genuinely different from every generation that came before. And pretending otherwise is why so much budgeting advice fails the moment you try to apply it. Here are the actual numbers. The income required to afford a median-priced home in the US jumped 70% in just 6 years, from about $67,000 in 2019 to $114,000 in 2025. That's not inflation. That's a structural shift in what homeownership costs relative to what most people earn. The average millennial carries nearly $40,000 in federal student loan debt. Monthly payments on that balance under a standard repayment plan run around $400 a month. That's $4,800 a year leaving your budget before you buy a single avocado. Healthcare costs have risen faster than wages for 15 consecutive years. Housing supply hasn't kept pace with demand since the 2008 crash. The gig economy expanded flexibility while eliminating stability, benefits, and employer retirement contributions for a significant slice of the workforce. None of this is a spending problem, it's a structural problem. And the first step to building a budget that actually works is acknowledging that your baseline costs are genuinely higher than they were for the people who gave you the avocado toast advice. So, what do you actually do with that? Here's the framework. Instead of starting with where to cut, start with 3 numbers: your fixed costs, your debt floor, and your savings target. Everything else, including discretionary spending, gets built around those 3 in that order. Fixed costs are the non-negotiables. Rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, transportation to work. These are the costs that don't move month to month and that you can't realistically cut without changing your living situation. Add them up and write them down. For most millennials in mid to high-cost cities, this number is already 50 to 60% of take-home pay before anything else. Your debt floor is the minimum you owe every month on debt obligations, student loans, car payments, credit cards. If you're on IDR for your student loans, use your actual IDR payment, not the standard plan amount. This number tells you the true baseline your income has to cover before you can save anything. Your savings target comes third. And here is where most budgeting advice gets it wrong. It tells you to save 20% of gross income, as if that's a fixed rule. It isn't. If your fixed costs and debt floor together consume 70% of your take-home pay, a 20% savings rate isn't a goal, it's fiction. Start with what's actually left. Even 3% automatically invested every month compounds meaningfully over time. The percentage matters less than the consistency. What's left after those 3 is your actual discretionary budget. That's where the coffee and the streaming services live. And yes, you can absolutely cut there if you want to accelerate savings. But cutting a $15 streaming subscription when your rent went up $400 this year is not a financial strategy. It's a distraction from the real math. 3 things to do this week. 1. Add up your fixed costs and your debt floor. Write down the actual number. Most people have never looked at their true baseline, and it's the most important number in your budget. 2. Set up one automatic transfer to savings, even if it's $25 a paycheck. Automation removes the decision. The behavior becomes invisible and consistent, which is exactly what compounding needs. 3. If your fixed costs and debt floor are consuming more than 65% of your take-home pay, the problem isn't your discretionary spending. The lever that matters is either increasing income or restructuring debt, not cutting subscriptions. Know which problem you're actually solving. The avocado toast narrative exists because small spending is easy to photograph and easy to mock. Structural wage stagnation and housing supply constraints are harder to put in a headline. But they're why the math is harder for our generation, and knowing that isn't an excuse. It's a starting point for building a budget that's actually honest about the situation you're in. Next video, we're covering the one move that can lower your taxable income, reduce your IDR student loan payment, and increase your retirement savings all at the same time. It's called maximizing your pre-tax contributions, and most people are leaving serious money on the table by not doing it.